All right, let's talk some SEC football and maybe, I don't know, a team or two outside of the SEC footprint. We'll see where it goes. You don't ever know with Bartoo and Bo hanging out. But this hit is brought to you by Pearl River Resort, Dancing Rabbit Golf Club, and the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. Book your 24 to 48 hours of fun right now, pearlriverresort.com. We welcome in National College Football Insider Dave Bartoo on 105.9 The Zone, ESPN, and the Out of Bounds Show. Bartoo joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Good morning, gorgeous. How are you?
Dude, sunshine. Man, you just love pushing my buttons early on, talking insider. God, I hate that term.
I know it. That's why I always call you a college football insider.
It drives me nuts.
You love it.
On so many levels. Well, I think the biggest reason is when it comes down to coaching carousel time. And I've just done enough searches and been on the inside enough where we know 99% of everything thrown out there by quote unquote insiders is crap. Even the biggest people lie or stretch the words about it. So, oh man, you know something, but we don't have to talk about coaching carousel. We can talk gambling and win totals.
That's right.
Really fun stuff.
Hot garbage.
That's what Bartoo thinks about college football insiders. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we've got to go. I mean, there's not a lot of sex appeal here, but
yeah,
we're going to hit a couple of teams today until you just hang up and run back out and, call an NFL general manager or something. But we have to go Mississippi State. Then we'll go Florida or somebody else. I tried to pick another team that like both of our local teams play, but there's not a lot of, and there shouldn't be, there's not a lot of excitement around Mississippi State football, but we're going to run through this. Ole Miss, you had somewhere between 8-4 and 9-3. They've got a great schedule, a great staff.
Yeah.
I think they'll take a little bit of a step back talent wise, but Lane's still going to win games. Now, Mississippi State, I'm going to run through the first four. They're all non-cons. At Southern Miss, Arizona State at home, Alcorn State, Northern Illinois at home.
Well, I mean, it's at the very least, it's got to be 3-1, right?
Yeah, and really needs to be 4-0.
Well, let's take even a look at that, like Arizona State, right? In the Dan Mullen era. That we'd be talking that's a win.
Yes.
At home, right? I mean, State has vastly out-recruited Arizona State for basically the last 15 years. So while Arizona State isn't chopped liver, they still aren't anywhere near a top 25 recruiter. So that should be in the past to be an automatic win, and now it's kind of like, well. Big question mark, but I also think Arizona State is outside of their quarterback. I think they're getting a lot of love for that great run last year. I think there's a lot of selection bias here because Arizona State has been very heavy in the portal the last few years. They've built a portal type of team and built a roster that way. I think that is a very, very difficult way to go. In college football to at least be consistent. It might get you a new contract. It might keep your job for a little while.
Right.
But I think building through the portal, unless you've got a quarterback named Shedeur Sanders to, pull your feet out of the fire every time, it doesn't work for guys. And so with Arizona State, I think there's a lot of bias here with the run they did last year. But I do think that their quarterback is top 3 in the country. Will probably be, if healthy, a first-round NFL draft pick based on what I'm seeing on paper right now. So they're going to be underdogs, but I think you and I both know this should be a game that they should be winning at home in September. That's why you scheduled it.
Agree.
Because you thought you were going to get a split. So you've got to get that split, man.
Okay. So I agree with you. In fact, I think that all right, so the win total for Mississippi State, according to Circa, is 3.5. Yep. where Bartoo's going here is Mississippi State should have better athletes. I didn't even think Arizona State looked physically imposing last year. They just had a hell of a team, and Dillingham and them figured it out. And Scattaboo was good, and Sam Levitt, who Bartoo is referencing, is a good player. And they had it just takes a couple of pieces, and all of a sudden you're competitive this day and age in college football. You get the edge rusher, you get the quarterback, a couple other pieces, and you can do some things.
Right.
I think they've got to be 4-0. Go ahead.
I do too. And from a betting standpoint, that's really what it comes down to. If you're betting over 3.5, then you're expecting them to be 4-0,
right?
4,
right?
Because or they're catching lightning in a bottle somewhere in the upcoming schedule. But also case in point, this is a little sidebar on Arizona State, getting hot last year. I think a lot of that also has to do with the ability of a team to stay healthy. And so in the Big 12, that by far has been the healthiest conference, the lowest injury rate per snap in the Power 5, pre-Power 4, lowest injury rate per snap in the country of the big conferences for the last 25 years. And so I think
wow.
that, right. And the highest injury rate per snap, the SEC. That's another reason why I say don't go to 9, because you are literally hurting your athletes. You're hurting your chances physically, not emotionally, not skill-wise, not football-wise, just physical health. It is the single greatest, highest impact conference in the country. You add that 9th game, and your injury rate per snap goes up even more. So, and I'm not talking to you, Bo. I'm talking to people who are listening right now that actually are going to vote on this stuff, because people listen all the time, and I keep saying it over and over. 9 is cool, but from a health standpoint, it hurts you. And look at Arizona State. They stayed healthy, and they got to go on a run. Do they have that record in the SEC? No, they don't, but they also don't have the health. And I think a lot of people overlook the health side of it in making a playoff run. At least when it comes down to reporting on stuff.
All right. So Bartoo's got them at 3-1, possibly 4-0. All right. So
no. How about this? We're going to go upset alert. I think you got to bet that at least to cover, man. You got to bet that to cover in September. We don't know what Arizona State is.
Right.
We know Mississippi State has good talent. Okay. We know they have the players to run with Arizona State. I know it. You know it. So the question comes down to, can the coaching staff get their guys coached up to run with Arizona State in September in Davis-Wade Stadium? And I believe they can. Okay. I do believe that, though, that this is a big game in terms of what has this coaching staff done with the players in the last, what is it now, 18 months?
Right.
Since everybody was hired? So, but how I love the home team dog that's a better recruiter in September. I will absolutely take the points on that one. And I think it's better than a 50-50 game for Mississippi State. They're just the first loser.
Okay. Bartoo, so he's going 4-0. They host Tennessee. I think this may be their best shot to win an SEC game. Tennessee at home, at Arkansas, at Missouri, Ole Miss at home, and I very much recognize that all 4 of those teams have more talent, and it's a lot closer with Arkansas and Missouri. But, all right, so then you host a new quarterback who transferred in from UCLA. Tennessee and UCLA did the QB swap, and then you host Tennessee at home, Bartoo.
Yeah, and let's see what does Tennessee have now? Not a trap game. Tennessee has Georgia September 13th, and they have a bye after Mississippi State. Now, I'm not saying I disagree with you in terms of Mississippi State's best chance to pull up an upset, because Tennessee might be overlooking Mississippi State. And if the upset's going to happen for the Bulldogs, it's going to be early in this schedule. The later it goes, this gets back to the physical and mental health. I think the more difficult it is. But, of those next, what are we looking at? Probably next 3 games, you get Tennessee at home. You got to go on the road at A&M. You got to bye, and you're at Georgia or at Florida. So, of those 3, dude, it's just not even. If you sent this to me and I had to pick between AI generated BS and real, I'd be like, no, nobody did this to State. I mean, who did they piss off in the SEC conference meetings to get this kind of schedule?
It's unbelievable.
But it's horrific. It is. But what are you going to do? It's cards you're dealt.
That's right.
You just play the cards you're dealt. That's it. You set at the table, and this is the card you get. But again, I don't even think Tennessee is 50-50. But like you said, early in the season, new quarterback. But Tennessee certainly has the talent to take care of it. If you want to, you can give it a half a game on this one. But I still think they're going to. You look at these numbers here. I think the best shot's going to be at Arkansas or at Missouri down the road.
Okay. All right. So loss to Tennessee at home, loss at A&M. Yeah. Florida has their act together. Lagway, I think, is just going to be incredible. Napier ended up being rock solid last year and weathering the storm. That's what happens when you have a veteran coach who's been through it before, handled it really well when everything was burning down around him, and they won a ton of games on the way out. Texas at home, they probably get their doors blown off. All right, so now we're at Arkansas November 1. So they may not have won a game since Northern Illinois on September 26th. At Arkansas, Bartoo, what do you see here between Jeff Lebby and Sam Pittman? Pittman's could probably coaching for his job too.
Right. I think you and I would agree. Not knowing what's going on behind, he's probably coaching for his job too. I think one of the great things for Mississippi State is I'm always looking at that surrounding schedule. So for Arkansas, they are coming off of Tennessee A&M, Auburn. And so that's their 4 in a row. So they're going to be beat to crap too. And they are coming off of, right before them, they get Auburn at home. So there's not a trap here because Arkansas is off the next week, but I think this could be a really good letdown game for Arkansas at home, simply because they're probably on a 3-game losing streak, 4-game losing streak. Shoot, dude, they play Notre Dame September 27th, and they're at Memphis September 20th. I think if I'm a Mississippi State fan, the best result I can get is maybe Arkansas losing at Memphis on September 20th, because they may just pack it in after that.
Right. They play Ole Miss on the 13th at Ole Miss.
Right.
And
right, but they're still they're still going to be the underdogs at Arkansas. But I agree with you. There's to me, from a talent standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, this is going to be one of their closest peers. So that's a great opportunity there. Tough thing for Mississippi State mentally is Arkansas is sandwiched right in between Texas and Georgia at home. Damn, dude, the hits keep coming. So it's going to take a lot of psychological training, I think, from the coaching staff, Mississippi State, really trying to focus on that one game at a time. Because if you look at the schedule as a whole, it's just going to be mentally debilitating. And so, but yeah, you got that Arkansas game, and neither one of us is taking Mississippi State to beat Georgia at home. And then you go to Missouri. And if you look ahead to Missouri's schedule, this is a great opportunity here. Here's a trap game for Missouri, because Missouri's playing Mississippi State at home. So A, going to let your guard down. B, they're coming off of hosting A&M and then going to Oklahoma. And I'm pretty sure that Oklahoma is going to be circled on the schedule for Missouri. So if you're looking for a really good trap game for Mississippi State to get that opportunity to go on the road and pull the upset, I think at Missouri is your number. That's probably the best one after September 30th on the schedule for them to get that SEC win and go 1-7 in the SEC.
All right. So it's the total is 3.5. I'd go.
It's 3.5. Do you? It comes down to, as a bettor, are they going to beat Southern Miss, Alcorn State, and NIU? Yeah, they have to.
Right.
Right. I mean, if you're a state fan or a gambler, anybody, you just got to go. Okay, they're going to win those three. So where are you going to get your fourth? Okay, is it at Missouri or hosting Arizona State? You know, you just got to split those to get four. So on the flip side, do you like the under? Do you like them losing all their games except to NIU and Southern Miss? You know, and losing one of those. Can 3 beat you in this scenario? So from a safety standpoint, I think the over is the logical and safest bet on the board. But man, it's pretty tight to get to that fourth win.
All right, yeah. Good grief. All right, and then Ole Miss at home. I mean,
yeah,
Ole Miss they're a better program right now. They have more talent, and their staff is much better.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Right? Not even close. Not even close there. So, you know, we're still a few years away from seeing what Mississippi State really has as an evolved staff. It was so young a year ago. It's still very, very young and inexperienced. I don't think, you know, I know a lot of fans would like to say I know which direction this is heading, but realistically, we're still a few years away from figuring out what we got from a staff standpoint for Mississippi State.
Yikes. All right, Dave Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show talking win totals. Let's do one more real quick, Bartoo. I want to pick a team that both teams play, and I want to go with Florida. I just do. You know, I mean,
oh man, I hate you, man. I hate you.
Well, thanks.
One, two. No, I'm just saying it from a standpoint is Florida to me is so hard to figure out.
7.5 win total.
Right? Yeah, they're at 7.5. So they get 2 right out of the gate, right? They get LIU and USF. And by the way, on USF, I'm not sure where everybody thinks Golish is going to be some Power 4 head coach. That one is one of my more confusing ones out there. At LSU, I'm going to give them a loss at LSU right out of the gate.
Okay.
And then at Miami,
win.
It should be a win. It should be a win.
I mean, I know that's close talent-wise. It may be a push for you, but I just like Lagway and Napier over Carson Beck and Cristobal. I just do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's Carson Beck and Shannon. They got a new DC who is really solid as well. It just seems like everybody for Florida, it's all just betting on Lagway winning football games, which is, I mean, that's what he's supposed to do, right? I mean, that's what great quarterbacks are able to do. I would not bet Florida over or under on anything, man, because this is every bit as a brutal schedule as what we just talked about with State. So again, I'm sure you can see them winning at LSU because LSU staff, Brian Kelly still hasn't figured out the staffing. You know, it's just not there. In Miami, they always lose games that they're supposed to win. And this is at home. They did win this game. No, you know, it's what was it last year? Syracuse. That was their playoff game. Couldn't get it done. Right? Offense couldn't get it done. So something couldn't get it done for them. But I think there's going to be a split here. So we're at 3 wins after 4 weeks. We're at 3 wins. So we're at 3-1, and they're off on Saturday, September 27th. Okay. Now teams coming off a bye in September do horribly on the next week.
Wow.
Horrible. It is the worst month to have a bye. You lose all. You know, I can't prove it mathematically or in the data. I can't prove why, but September buys by far and away have the worst record coming off of a bye.
Okay.
Way worse than October and November. Way worse. So beware that September bye. They come off of it, and then they go Texas, Texas A&M, Mississippi State. And, again, they get Texas at home. And you know how I love betting against Steve Sarkisian. I mean, it's just like taking candy from a baby. You know? I mean, when we need out, just let Sark blow a lead. You know? I mean, he tried like hell against Arizona State.
He did. We talked about that. Yeah, I know.
Oh, my God. Dude, the guy, for his entire career, has made a career of always losing one more game than he should. His whole career is underperforming the talent. At some point, just can't get it done. It's gonna be him winning a national championship at Texas. Probably gonna be like Ed at Louisiana. Just makes you scratch your head and go, "Damn, got lucky. Good year." That's all you can do, right? So you got Texas at Texas A&M, Mississippi State. We're taking the win at Mississippi or hosting Mississippi State at home. Texas at home.
I think they win.
Yeah,
I know what you said about the bye.
Yeah, I know. I'm sitting there looking at it and going, what way would I go with that one? I'm going to go opposite of you. I think they're going to lose to Texas and go on the road and beat A&M. So now I'm at 5-2 going into their October bye, and then they're going to be playing Georgia.
That game's a push for me now that Napier's got his stuff going. I just think Florida has done what it takes in the trenches. And if they had an Ole Miss or Texas schedule, they'd be going to the college football playoff. But I do think that Napier can get to 8-4 and slightly just get over this 7.5 total wins. So I'm going W, Bartoo. I am.
Against Georgia. Look at you. I am so curious about Georgia's defense. I'm so curious, dude. It didn't even finish top 25 in scoring efficiency last year.
I know when you said that, I was like, wow.
It was one of Kirby Smart's worst scoring efficiency defenses in his career as head coach or DC. Everybody's bitching about Mike Bobo, and I'm like, dude, it wasn't the offense. The offense was more efficient than the year before. It was the defense. But see, nobody wants to criticize the guy running the defense.
Sure.
Right. But I'm going to go loss on that one.
Okay.
That's 5-3. But then we got real favorable now, right? We got 6-3 against Kentucky. By the way, I want to do a segment of Kentucky because I need you to convince me Kentucky can get to 7 wins. And then I want to know what drugs you're taking because I need that visual stimulation. So we're 6-3 after Kentucky. So like you said, now we got to go 2-1 coming down the stretch. They're going to beat Florida State. So now we're at what are we at? 7-3. So Tennessee at home at Ole Miss. I'll go loss at Ole Miss. Trap game also because you're at Ole Miss and then you're going back to Gainesville for Tennessee. So I see Ole Miss as a trap game. So there's your 8-4. If you're trying to get above 7.5, but again, going below 7.5, completely entirely plausible as well. That's why I just don't like betting Florida at all. But that being said, that's how you get to 8-4 right there and being over 7.5 on the line.
All right, we'll leave it there. Bartoo's Bangers, brought to you by Pearl River Resort and the Golden Moon Casino's Sportsbook and Lounge. It's a hell of a time anytime, but during football season, it is a ton of fun. PearlRiverResort.com. Little bit of Bartoo's Bangers, little bit of Show Me the Money. We're going to try to knock out all these teams here in the next few weeks. I can't believe, media days are here and everything else. Bartoo on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. Love you, buddy. See ya.
Take it easy, brother.